from last time, which I heard was amazing.
Hi.
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 That's not your introduction.
20. Okay.
2024.
I don't know. Just
30th
30th anniversary
30th
of the
anniversary
Trophy
of Trophy Cup.
Cup. Qualifying
Welcome.
night Friday.
Yeah, night
Night
two.
number two.
Night number two. You finished what place?
20th or something.
Okay, good. Show's over. Somebody, I'm not going to mention any names, but it rhymes with Reef Ophiel, said we were boring last night. If you don't know how to translate that, would be Keith Ophiel.
Keith said we're boring?
Yes.
Keith, that's the meanest thing he's ever said to me.
I don't think it's the meanest thing he's ever said to me, but
Probably not.
so tonight the track started off considerably slicker than it did on Thursday.
Right.
Made qualifying interesting, especially if you went out 64th out of 65.
Yeah, that didn't help my case, but
Technically, 62nd
30.
out of
Oh.
60.
Oh, because some guys missed their spot.
63rd.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
60th,
so, and there is no penalty other than one lap if you miss your spot.
right?
Okay, that's
It's
interesting.
just one lap at the end.
Obviously, that was a horrible penalty tonight, but what if it wasn't? And there is no penalty.
Yeah, that usually. I know what you're saying, but that never happens here at Tulare.
You're right,
typically.
but it could. I mean, it could happen. And I don't know, maybe there.
Like we talked about that. I feel like this weekend, like Chico was always greasy in hot laps, so you would.
We
Like-
started cheating the system and taking
Yeah.
one at the end.
One at the
Oh,
end.
darn, my motor's not working. And then they had to make a rule about it because
That's it.
we were taking advantage of the situation because we would just take one lap at the end when the track was good and time in well.
Yeah, and then what happened when you did that, and then they finally docked
Yeah, that
you?
would be the famous chalkboard incident that everybody's talking about. And somebody,
Oh, tell us about that.
Jonathan Allard talked about that
Just
today.
brought that up today
Oh, yeah.
for our
so-
Mount Rushmore picture.
Yeah, that's how our day started. We had a 2:30 photo shoot.
Right. Troy texted me. He said, "Hey, I need you to
Troy
come take
Hennig.
Troy Hennig. Need you to come take a picture in the pits." I said, "Okay." He said, "AF needs to come too. Bring him." I said, "Never heard of him." So, oh, that was Andy. So we went out to the back straightaway. It was me, Andy, Kyle Hurst, Tim Kading, Jonathan Allard. And then Troy gave us a little speech. Said, "This is my Mount Rushmore of drivers." He's all, "Between the five of you, I've announced 250 wins
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
with all you guys." So he wanted to get a picture of all of us on the back straightaway, and he had a
He showed me
fancy
the
photographer and everything.
He showed me the picture. I said, you guys
Oh,
should have
really?
done
He's
a
already got the
Reservoir
pictures?
Dogs. Like,
Reservoir Dogs?
yeah.
Oh, walking.
Of like walking, all of you looking in like a different place, like Reservoir Dogs. Have you seen that?
Could have done that.
Never seen it. Don't
Ah.
ever come out. Shut up.
God.
Anyways,
Jeez.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah.
So if 250 wins, so that would be what?
Crazy.
Like
What-
75 for you, 75 for Jonathan, 75 for Kyle, 75 for Tim, and
Like
2 for
20
me.
for you.
2 for me.
Yeah, you're just a twofer.
That was cool.
It was
and that was
cool.
special that Troy
That's
thought
pretty
that
cool
we're
to
the
be in
Mount
that group.
Rushmore. I mean, not to brag, but we are the Mount Rushmore of the last 20 years in NorCal, really.
And mainly Chico era.
Yeah.
Was that a mic drop for Troy? Because he specifically said, like, afterward, "Thank you guys, I really appreciate it. This is by no means a retirement of me. I just wanted to get this done."
What? He brought that
so
up?
he threw that out there because we were kind of saying,
Oh.
"So what does this mean, Troy? Is this like a mic drop for you? Like calling your shot and being done with it, or why do you?" Well, Jonathan Allard's never here. Like,
Yeah.
lives in New Zealand. Like, he's hardly
Or-
ever in the country.
Or, when you want to take advantage of those last couple Christmases with your grandparents because they might be dying soon, maybe that's what he's thinking about us because we are pretty old. This might be the last time that all 5 of us are at the racetrack before we all start kicking off.
I'll let you tell the joke, but I really enjoyed what you thought was going to happen to us as we were driving out there.
So I thought they had a big hole dug with a piece of plywood over it.
So
And
we're
we were
driving
gonna,
in the golf cart.
we were going to drive up in the golf cart the board would give out on us. We'd fall in the hole, and then they'd just throw dirt on top
Bury
of
us.
us. Kind of like an A-team. I think I saw it episode 18, but the hole was filled up with mayonnaise.
Just put us out of our misery.
Yeah.
Like,
That was really what my
guys,
first thought
You guys
was.
need to retire. Like, let's just call this a day.
Let's help these kids. Let's just encourage them a little bit. Done.
I thought that was hilarious.
I'm excited to see the pictures, though. I'm jealous that you
It was
already saw
cool.
them. Yeah,
Was it?
so-
It was
Good.
cool.
Fun.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't know it was gonna be like a professional shot.
Yeah, it
like I
was.
was just
Like,
kind of
we had
like,
lights
hey,
set up.
take
Yeah,
a
it was
picture.
legit.
Like, and he goes, he came out with like a broadcasting. Like,
Yeah.
it was cool.
It was fun.
But
I
you
felt
guys don't give
important.
yourself. I mean, I think like we've talked about before with just like the respect aspect of like, not that you guys command respect, but you feel like you've earned it with just as many things you've done. But like, it's a cool thing to like. You guys are like the top of California sprint car racing.
Well, it was
Maybe not currently, but like just overall, you're definitely in the conversation.
Yeah, it was fun for me, just in my career, growing up at Silver Dollar Speedway, and Dennis Gage's voice is like synonymous with that track. And then as I started my racing career, that's about the exact same time Troy started his announcing career.
It
so
is.
It was no more Dennis Gage's voice. Like from then on, for the rest of my career, I'm listening to Troy Hinnig on the microphone. So
And I didn't know racing until you. So I started hand scoring just off the clipboard, and Troy used to come
Oh,
over to the
speak
pits.
of the devil.
Yes, Troy!
Speak of the devil.
Are you guys live?
Yes. So
You're so bad about
in
my
2000,
updates tonight.
No,
You
show
like
them,
my
hey,
updates, didn't
show
you?
them the picture. They haven't seen it yet.
We were
they
just
love
talking
it.
about Mount
What?
Rushmore.
We were talking about the picture. Show
Do I
me,
have
show them
to
the
show
picture.
mine now?
Yeah,
you don't have
we'll
to.
show
you don't
them.
have to, but
So,
Can I send it to you and can you show it at all?
so like
Yeah,
the
it's
first
fine.
year of Troy, my phone's hooked up here.
Yeah.
The first year of Troy announcing, we're all doing hand scoring because there wasn't scoreboards, there wasn't like all the technology we have now. And he used to come over the pits and talk to all of us wives and girlfriends and
Yeah.
all the stuff.
He had to get
When do you
sponsored.
guys want me to announce the times? Like, what's the easiest? Because you say the time as you're going down the backstretch, we can't hear you.
Yeah, it was off of turn 2.
Yeah,
You guys
so-
couldn't hear me because, going down.
So I was like, this is cool. So my first Gold Cup was that year. I'm like, who is this person that's on the microphone? Where's Troy? And Sean's like, that's Dennis Gage. I'm all, who the hell is that?
Dennis
Put
Gage.
Troy back on.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like, no, this is a voice I grew up listening to. And
yeah.
I'm like, so I never met Dennis until he hired me to score the Enduro race.
Comes full circle.
what was
doesn't
your
it?
what was your first year?
99.
So that was my first year in a modified.
Yeah, that's
So
what we all
we
met.
essentially
What was your
started
first,
our career.
what was your first
together.
race at Chico, Andy? When was your first?
1994.
So,
and I
you-
tried knocking the wall down.
When did you get your first win at Chico?
2000?
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
2000.
So it wasn't 99, so 2000. What about your first
so
win,
I
Shark?
won modifieds before you even won at Chico.
Yeah, but did you knock the wall down as fast as I did? First night there. Did you hit the wall the first night there?
No,
Or then I did something
I
before
hit,
you.
I hit my own trailer though.
On your first night?
My first sprint car night.
Gosh, knock on wood. I don't know if I've ever ran
He had no brakes
into my
coming
trailer.
into the trailer.
That does happen, and you do, as you get older, you kind of get used to maybe giving a little pump of the pedal
Right.
when you're driving your trailer. Because I have seen people get to their trailer and then not have brakes, and they try to drive in the trailer. Back
Yep.
then, the trailers weren't that high, so they'd rip their wing off. It was great. But
That was great.
who cares about that? Troy, is it true that you made the call to penalize your boss, Colby Coleman?
Yeah, I called him the winner 17 times and then looked over at Lisa and she's got a blank expression on her face. And I thought it was because of Sean had crashed or something happened to Sean.
Yeah.
And then I was informed that Colby did not win the race. And then I said, well, who did? And they said Corey. And then Lisa said, I think 2 spots for Colby. So then I'm like, well, I just announced him as a winner. Is this totally official? I don't want to be
Didn't that happen
totally
last year?
silly.
No.
Wasn't
No, I
there
had
2
called-
identical cars?
Yeah, I had called the wrong winner.
Was that last
Yeah,
year?
yeah.
or
No,
2
it
years
was
ago?
Larry's car.
Yeah.
They were too light.
But also, yeah, that car was too
No,
late
no,
after
no,
the
no.
fact.
Yes.
But I called the wrong car as the
two-tiner.
winner.
Right.
The
There was
two-tiner call.
this is a different scenario.
But after
Oh.
that, it was at the scales that night.
Yeah,
It was
Larry's
too light.
car
CD
was
was
too
too
light.
light, but that
CD.
wasn't.
But
really
we were
a
already on the
mistake.
road. Like everyone was kind of gone. at
I
that
was
point.
here,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
someone
that
was like,
yeah.
someone said,
Oh, we
yeah,
just
he
called
didn't
you
win.
out too.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Are we live?
No, your husband.
Told you we need a red light out.
Okay, we got all kinds of.
Keith's calling me names. That ain't cool.
Keith
Yeah,
called
okay.
him boring.
So
Who would ever call me?
Go ahead,
Hey,
Troy.
this is about me, Sean. Right now, it's not
Yeah,
about you.
focus-
I don't get to get on the
focus back to
Shark
Troy.
Tales.
I know.
My first announcing the race was March. It was a Silver Cup race, 1999, and Friday night, Andy Forsberg. Something happened with the scorekeeping.
It was absolutely all fucked up like
It was-
normal.
It was Kenny Garcia who
Absolutely.
hand scored back then, and I was nervous as all heck. Anyways, my first race, the race is over, and I see Richard Forsberg on a warpath through the infield on foot, walking towards our grandstands. And I thought, well, maybe he had to use the restroom or get something to eat or say hi to John and Robbie. He then bypasses them, walks up in our empty grandstands, and Kenny Garcia looks at me and he goes, "Does that door lock?" And I'm like, I didn't know what's going on. I'm so like naive to what was happening. And Richard opened up that door and gave Kenny an earful. And back then we had the small booth, so it was just a 3-person booth.
Yeah.
The addition didn't happen until like 2004. Anyways, Richard chewed Kenny's ass out. I mean,
And you were front row seat
yeah, and
to
I'm
it.
right there, like,
Yeah.
and this is my first race, like it was my show forever. First night of 1999, and Richard slammed the door, and I looked over at Kenny, and I'm like, "Does this happen often?" And Kenny goes, "Only if your last name is Forsberg." And little did I know I'd go on and be best buds with you after that experience with your dad. And I didn't know you at that point.
This story goes back to 1979 at West Capitol.
was
Kenny
gonna say,
Garcia,
there was a
the
West Capitol
scorer,
deal.
was Kenny Garcia, the flagger.
Okay.
And Kenny Garcia made a poor decision that didn't help my dad's cause in a race one night.
Yep.
And so my dad's racing Nick Racino on the last lap. Racino hits this hole. My dad flips his ass off. And all he knows is he didn't win the race, and it was Kenny Garcia's fault. And so he went to kill Kenny Garcia. My dad ended up getting kicked out of West Capitol for 4 weeks, and that was in '79. So that's basically what started my dad's sprint car career, because he went sprint car racing
Yeah.
because he got kicked out of super modified racing at West Capitol.
So yeah, so that's
That's fine.
Okay,
There it
we're
is.
back.
We're
So my dad does joke, because love Kenny all you want, he did cause a lot of interesting nights, especially at Trophy Cup, man, when
Yeah.
there's been people confused about the format now. I mean, we
Yeah,
got a
there still
computer
is, yeah,
system
yeah.
now that does it,
This morning.
but
The-
Kenny used to do it by hand, and it was always wrong.
Well, he
and-
scored by hand and added points by
Oh my
by his
gosh!
hand.
And so my
it was
dad,
a lot of work.
My dad joked that, you don't spend that much time in prison for killing somebody. So if I just would have killed Kenny in 1979, he goes, I would be out of prison by now, and I would have saved all you racers a ton of time, ton of heartache.
The year you talk about is Kenny's last year here. In fact, they made a change after that. A couple of trophy cups with points, and then they brought in, I think Aaron was the
Aaron,
next
yep.
one.
Aaron
Jones.
came in next.
And Aaron came in with the computer.
Yep.
And you did the spreadsheets and all the connection and that.
So
that's
what
worked.
year do you think that was?
Man, I don't know.
Late 2010?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah,
08,
11,
09?
12,
Yeah.
somewhere right around there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a lot. So, Kenny was the man. He did, Andy, as you know, he traveled with the Outlaws. He did a lot of stuff. He did with Fred Brownfield. He kind of coined Kenny as his guy to do the traveling stuff. So, Kenny was really well known for that. I give the guy credit, though. Andy, can you imagine doing the qualifying heat races all by hand?
I can.
Each lap, though, scoring 24 cars at Tulare. When you go green flag laps like that, it was something. I don't know how he did it. But now with video, everyone wants to show you the video, so that's when you'll.
That's
There,
kind
we're
of
back
important.
up. Yeah,
We're
yep.
back up.
How's
All
the
right.
how's the wrist?
Riss is doing great. Yeah, she's gonna go to the Bay Area tomorrow and take care. Any questions, Lisa?
Sean Schmitz says, I was there. That's my first real West Capitol memory.
Oh, so yeah, you know what?
Your dad's
My-
making memories for
So-
people.
To go further with that story, my dad's older brother was there, also trying to beat up Kenny, and everybody said,
Poor Kenny.
Forsberg's dad was trying to beat up the flagman too. Well, so now we still call my
call him
uncle,
Dad.
my dad's brother, Dad. Everybody in Auburn calls him Dad
yeah.
because of that
I gotcha.
accident in 1979. So, yeah. Kenny-
What's cool about you two is thinking about dads. And Sean's dad, your dad has multiple wins at Chico, and you came from a great, foundation. Your dad obviously a big time winner, so you guys are winners probably because you're just like your dad. Now, have you accosted Kenny Garcia? Have you threatened his life?
Well, I think that same night I said my dad kicked your ass 20 years ago, and I'm about to do it now.
Did you walk up after him right after
Yes,
this?
yes,
okay,
absolutely.
My memory's bad. That was 25 years ago. That's
Okay,
right.
I'm going to tell you what
left.
happened. It was lap
Richard
one.
left and you came in,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
So lap one, there's a melee.
Yep.
I started third, and I end up flying off the track.
Okay.
So I'm screwed, right? Oh shit. Well, I come up back on the track and the yellow's out. Shane Scott had stopped. So I'm like, perfect, my life is saved. Well, Kenny wanted to get lap 1 scored, so he scored it. So I'm last.
Gotcha.
Shane didn't even go a quarter lap and he scored the goddamn lap. It was wrong.
Aaron likes to do that too, though.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Yes.
And I knew it, and Kenny knew it, but all he was concerned about getting lap 1 scores.
Joe.
How about, did you follow your dad? I forget, or were you like 5 minutes after your dad?
Oh, I don't know. I figured he
I
must
now
have-
remember you busting in the booth.
He
too.
went up there, and I found out he went up there without me, and I had to put my 2 cents in too. But
yeah, you were full of piss and
I
vinegar
was.
back
You
Now
sure
I'm a-
were.
Now
You've
I'm a
calmed
lot
down a
more
lot,
politically
yeah.
correct
Yeah,
as
yeah.
far as having.
Somebody
this
asked
short
about
back.
like any whiteboard breaking. Someone
Jonathan
just asked
talked
about
that. Yeah, that was Jonathan's when we were doing the hall
the picture,
or
yeah, the picture
front
thing,
more
yeah,
shore.
yeah.
He says my favorite memory of Andy is him breaking Ed's chalkboard.
Yeah.
Which I did judo chop that thing into a million pieces.
So you guys are all tough sprint car guys. Jonathan just grabbed me again in the dinner thing over there, and he goes, "Thanks for doing that for us. That meant a lot
Yeah.
to him." So, do you told the story what we did?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was
Oh,
amazing.
As you were
Yes.
walking in, we just finished the story.
So for years I've said those are my 5 guys, and I joke I love Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson, and then the guys. that
Ed
really-
Kinkle's watching. Ed, do you remember when I broke your chalkboard? Hey, that was another Kenny Garcia
way.
story. Yes.
Because he was
No,
a scorer.
I asked Ed what the situation was, and Ed told me one thing, and then I did it, and then Garcia overruled him after I'd already did it. And I had to tag the back of my heat race, so I took it out on Ed. I'm sorry. That was the only thing I couldn't break Kenny's pencil. He was in the score booth. So I broke Ed's chalkboard.
That segues into what we were talking about earlier.
Everything goes full circle in this sport if you
Yeah.
stay
With
long
like
enough.
we're at Trophy Cup here, every single position, and nobody at this entire race understands the format. The format really hasn't changed in all the years I've scored it. No one understands it, but like it's really crazy because it's not usually advantageous to go out late in qualifying, but that's the penalty for being out of line. If you miss your qualifying spot,
Yeah.
you go out last.
And you
So
get one
tonight,
Get
and it
one lap,
happened
yeah.
last night, and I can't remember who it was last night, but tonight Tyler Courtney went out 1 lap at the end. He ends up on the front row of a heat race. He wins the heat race. He's in the A main.
Good
So, like,
analogy, yeah. Good
Is
analogy.
that a good penalty? Should
Yeah.
you get qualifying points for where you qualified, but you have to start behind the invert?
I think it's a good penalty for this.
Because
event.
Just one at
typically,
the end?
yes,
For this
event.
because typically you're not
Because
gaining
nobody's
speed.
cheat. It's not a cheat.
Right,
they-
yeah.
I think Courtney.
Whoa.
They said they had the hood off.
Him
and
I
Stanley.
looked at how he came on the track, and his motor sounded like shit. And I initially thought they just changed the motor, and he pulled out here with a cold engine. That's what I thought. I could be 100% wrong, but that's what I figured. They blew up in hot laps. They barely got the motor changed. They didn't have any heat on it because when he drove on the track, that thing was puttering and shitting its pants. By turn 4, it got going again. You don't want to run these motors cold.
No.
They're
No.
really high-performing engines. You want temperature in them. You can run them cold, but it is not good for them.
Yeah.
But if you got to go qualify, you got to go qualify, and that's what I thought happened. So obviously, they weren't taking one at the end to cheat the system. By any
No,
means.
they had the hood off, and then the 25 had the hood
Well,
off.
if they just had the hood off, I would suspect that somebody would have said they were changing motor.
25
I might
had
be
back-to-back nights.
Yes.
They've had issues in that
Yes.
class, so yeah.
But I saw you go out, and I was watching the times, and you were like 22nd or 23rd, and I'm like, okay, there's only one more car left. We're good. And then another car came out. Another car, I'm like, shit, we're going to get knocked out of the invert
Yeah.
by cars taking one at the end. There's got to be a penalty for that. And then once you didn't get knocked out, I didn't give a shit about it. Well, we don't need to bitch about it, because I might have texted the booth last night about somebody missing a muffler to get someone up a position in the B, but I might have done that. I don't know. Might not have. Who knows?
It didn't matter to us. We had no say in that.
That
We
was
could
a
hear
lot.
it.
I just wanted
Yeah,
to
you
make
could
sure
hear it,
everybody
yeah.
knew that there was a car in fourth
Yeah.
place that was missing a muffler, and my buddy was in fifth.
Yeah.
That
That
must
was going to help us out a
have
little
been that
bit.
must have been the last time you texted the booth, because I know the booth
I
was
text
waiting
them
for text
every
messages
time you needed
all
intel
day.
tonight.
Yeah, you were a great
You were
infield
on it.
reporter.
Yeah, so good. Every
Pit
time the
reporter.
car that we were asking questions about was on the racetrack, he'd write, well, it looks like they fixed it.
If you don't amuse
Where
yourself,
were you tonight, by the way?
who
Where
will?
were you? Where were you tonight?
I was watching the racetrack
Where
with him.
from where, though?
The grandstands.
Well, why were you in the grandstands?
I can't
So
see
hunker
from the
down.
pits.
But why?
I got to study every single lap to give him
He's
all
a
the
driving
intel.
coach.
Driving coach. What's that pay?
Did you pay him
Friendship?
for a pit? Did you
I
pay
did
him for
get him
pit
in for free.
reporting?
He does have a free pit
I don't
pass.
pay if I get money every track I go. Just ask everybody. I might have even scored some points tonight at Trophy Cup.
You might get a paycheck when you leave.
Yeah, I might be like
You
49th
might
in
be-
points
I'll
right
just
now.
add your name at the bottom of the
I
cheat
could
sheet.
do that for you.
There are some people that I guarantee you believe that.
What place do you want to get tomorrow night?
I mean, I don't need to make a
I can't
feature,
do
but-
that, everybody. I don't have the power to do that.
So I have a question for Sean in the main event. When Colby was called for the jump start, did it go over the receiver radio to you drivers, or was it after the race?
I didn't hear it.
Did
No.
you hear stuff all night though?
Yeah.
I think his
They
helmet
don't
might
call
have been off, 'cause he
jumps on
pulled
the
off in
receiver
infield, but
until
he
there's a
I
caution.
did, but I think I still have my earbuds
And we didn't get a
in.
caution.
There wasn't a caution.
So who were Kylie and I talking to about? No, someone said they called it during the race.
Justin Peck
No.
got called for a jump,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that.
and that
There
got
was a
penalized
red.
for the next restart.
Yeah, so
I
there
know,
was-
but someone told us in there that they heard it on their receiver radio, so Colby knew he didn't win, and I didn't agree
No,
with that.
after the race was over.
Yeah, they were saying during the race.
No, it was
God, I
not
gotta
during the
remember
race.
who we talked to. Kylie and I were talking to her
It was
about
not
So
during the race.
here's a good.
So I don't understand the whole thing. I mean, obviously, is there any point where the receiver director needs to go, "Hey, Colby, you jumped"?
Not while you're under green.
Okay, so he just has
they
to
do
win
that
and then
in
you
Indy
lose.
cars. They
Yeah,
do that in Indy
there's
cars.
something gotta
Should
be
you
changed
stop
there.
the
That's
race
so-
and start over
in
because of a
F1,
jump?
They do that too. They say,
Yeah.
you were a little too
Yeah,
aggressive
you-
there.
you
You
too
gotta get that
aggressive.
spot
Yeah.
back.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the
We're
question.
not Indy cars.
Do you
Yeah, what's
let the
question?
race happen? And
Which we-
and
which we
DQ
did
him?
tonight. Did you
Or
like
do
the
you
outcome?
throw a yellow?
So
I don't give a shit either way, honestly.
the Outlaws
Yeah, that's-
will throw. If somebody jumps a restart, no matter where you are on the track, they immediate yellow
I
and
think.
put them back immediately.
Yeah, that should have. I mean, ultimately in hindsight, that should happen tonight. For me to look like a donkey
Agreed.
making
The
call,
but the-
Colby Copeland the winner 18 times.
But the
Agreed.
problem with that is that would be the only time that they've done that this weekend because they called people for jumps multiple times.
Oh yeah, no, you
this
can't change
week.
it during the. Yeah, I agree with you. I think going forward, that might be the thing to do. What about just an A main event, Sean? You don't have to do it all the races, but at least the A.
Like, you
No,
have
you
to do
have
it all
to
the
do it all the
races.
time. Yeah, you have to do it every
Yeah,
single time.
That was strange.
So how much does that add on to the time? But,
But
we
you're
also said
also-
too, put the cone back out.
For a single file.
Yeah, if you're a single file restart, put the cone back out, and then you know
And they
you
force
can't
them
pass
up, like,
until
near
after the
top,
cone.
right? So they'll force you,
You
up
don't
towards the flag
necessarily
stand.
need to pinch us against the wall, but
But
I think
I know
a
you're
cone
saying
is a
that.
good reference point.
Yeah, that's
Maybe 10 feet on the track or something. I mean,
Yeah.
At least
just
you
a
see,
reference
now I
point.
can pass.
I'll just say this as me as my personal driver, we do single file restart sometimes at certain tracks where they don't put the cone out. I know when I'm pushing my luck. I know when I'm about at the flag stand, and I know if I'm
Okay.
kind of like this next
Yeah.
to the guy. Colby, I'll ask Colby tomorrow when I see him, and if I remember, I'll talk about it. I'm going to venture to guess Colby knew he was pushing his luck,
For
or he
sure.
knew he fucked up, one of the two, and was hoping to get away with it.
Right.
That's a call that on most tracks at our level, at this level, local level, just gets swept under the rug and doesn't get called.
Okay, that's what I was
In my
wondering too.
opinion.
Yeah, I understand.
So I will say I don't go to the driver's meeting because I'm on my way back up to the booth to get set up. So I don't know what they say at the driver's meeting. So I asked on the radio after the race was over. I said, okay, he was not in front of him when they crossed the flag stand.
That's where I was confused.
But is the rule nose to tail? And they said the
Yes.
rule is nose to tail. And I said, okay.
Dan is
Because
clear
100%
about that.
I knew he was next to him. He was not nose to tail. But on the transponders, Dominic finished or crossed before Colby. So that's why I asked what the rule was. And then it was like, that's when I turned to Troy and I was like, oh God.
No, so
Oh,
Dan,
God.
Troy, make the call.
Dan at the pit
I just
meeting
threw
is
up a
very
little bit.
clear that yes, you have to be essentially nose to tail, like not nose to tail, like you can be off to the side, you just cannot be alongside of him. He's very clear about that. But you had mentioned that I guess he kind of did that the start before,
It was close,
and they
but
called it
not,
close, but then nobody warned him either.
Right.
Right.
But he
So, like-
wasn't side by side. He was out of line, but he wasn't next to him.
Right.
So they said it was close, but we're not penalizing him.
So basically, so he tried to do that before.
He just got
Got
a better
away
run.
with
Got
it.
away with it. I'm going to
Yep.
push the issue a little harder.
So maybe.
Maybe
So when did you find out?
when it happened.
So you heard on the receiver.
Yes.
radio. So it was just to you guys, but not to the driver.
So when it
was
happened,
to the official radio.
Official.
Yes.
so you knew that whole time he was leading, he
Yes.
was not going to win the race.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yes. And it was like I'm a scorekeeper, so I have to stay like really partial as much as I can. Like you guys know, I don't say names on the radio. Like I keep it very like number. Like I have to not be personal. But I'm like, I kind of don't want him to win because I don't want to tell him that he lost.
Yeah.
So then it's like you're kind of rooting for Corey. Like,
Do you think if that
But
was
not
to
really.
be, if we could do that over, do you want an elbow from somebody in the scoring booth saying,
They don't
hey,
listen to me.
Colby's not going to win this, right? Or
Yeah,
do
but
you-
I mean,
do you
obviously-
think he should be educated?
The only one that could hear you really would be probably the cushion though, because you guys can't hear when we talk, right? When we're at speed with
Well,
24
there's a
cars.
lot of people listening
No,
on the cushion.
on the cushion.
I
That's
hear
what I'm saying,
you.
the cushion, yeah. So
I,
it probably
I
just
hear
affect them.
everything that is happening in there.
Yeah.
So you as the announcer, would you have liked to have been like, hey, he's going to be penalized
Well,
at the end of this race?
I don't know how I would have handled that because then you're calling a race and you're like, well, he's not the leader.
And then,
Right.
And
So-
yeah, do you bring it up then?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah, I
we
don't
just
know.
got an
I'll have to-
official. There's 6
Yeah.
laps to go,
But-
but
I
Well,
think
yeah.
you ruined the whole atmosphere.
and
Oh,
then,
for sure.
but then me, like I hear it on the official
What
radio.
the hell is going on?
what is happening?
We just had fireworks. We are
Right
upping
behind
our-
us?
Yes.
Oh, well.
We
So
we
they
are
showed
upping
them-
our product, like
Yeah.
our cost
So,
of the
so
show.
last night,
We
turn
must have
3,
a
they were going
different
off too when you guys were
producer
racing.
today.
There's
I
something
heard
going
you
on
say
there.
that. This is awesome.
Yeah, there's some fireworks going on behind us. Okay.
All right, this
Yeah.
I think our phone's about ready to blow up, so we probably should just end this.
Wait, real quick, if you guys win the race, how would you have handled the post-race interview? Because Colby was really awesome.
I think I'm a professional. I would have come
Okay.
out there and been good.
Okay, you too, Sean.
I would have
you'd have been-
probably.
What?
You just
I-
talked
what
about
age, though?
fighting
Yeah,
and trying
no,
to
there's
kill
been a
someone
lot.
and get out of
No,
prison
no.
in time.
I just told you though, if I did what Colby do, I know I'm pushing my luck. So if I get caught, if I get my hand caught in the cookie jar, and I was told not to put my hand in the cookie jar, and I get caught, I know.
10, 15 years ago? do you think
Let's see. When would I have
Yeah,
thrown a
you
fit?
would have broke more than a
I'll be
whiteboard.
honest. Let's see.
Right.
When did I become really smart in racing?
Yeah, that would have been different.
Are you yet?
Yeah, no, I know my shit. I'm gonna say. I mean, 06 maybe, 07, 08. I was
You'd have
probably
thrown
getting
a
my
fit?
shit. No, I'm saying I
Oh,
would have
you
had my
would've-
shit together.
Yeah.
Gotcha, yeah.
And Colby win.
Well, anyways, yeah, that would have been a tricky
I was a
situation.
hothead, yeah, and so that's why I kind of like to instill knowledge on these people now.
Yeah.
Like, learn from what I used to not know. Like, the promoters aren't getting rich, and you know, there's other.
Great point, because that's what Colby I think went through in that whole thing. He even mentioned, you know, I'm on that other side too, so I get it.
Okay,
Right.
not to change the subject, but I gotta give myself props on my driving coaching
Yeah,
tonight.
what'd you do right?
This guy did exactly what I told him to do on his cool down lap.
Oh, okay.
Exiting the
cooldown.
track.
Exiting the
Nobody
track.
was driving. They watered the track for everybody
They
to go through
did
the
one
infield.
lane. Yeah.
And everybody was driving next to the water. They were driving in the powder. So as he's walking off to go qualify, I said, "Hey, make sure you stay in the moisture on the infield."
And I did.
And I stayed and watched and made sure. I'm like, okay, he did it. The only car that didn't make dust after
So-
qualifying.
So
Thanks, Scott, for the trail.
Scott said during qualifying, he's all, good thing I watered a lane over there. Guys, you can see it's dark and it's light,
Well,
and
I
not
think
one guy has ran through the
He
dark.
actually went and moved a cone.
Yes,
and
he
I
did.
think they backed the fire
backed
truck.
the truck
yes,
up.
and people still were going in the
Because
dust.
the fire truck guy gets on the radio, he's all, watch this, I'll move
Oh yeah,
him, and
no,
he
I saw him
found
try. I saw him try.
And I got on the radio, I go, Scott, they don't want to get their cars muddy.
It's Jesus.
No, but I think
It
what
would have
we're
been the
doing-
only moisture they got in their car all night long.
Yeah.
Tonight, but.
What we're doing though is like, we got a car coming, so they have a couple people in there saying, "Hey, slow down,
Yeah.
or you got to hurry up." But you're looking at the driver coming, so you're paying attention there. You're not caring where you're driving on the road.
So he needs to water
So-
more. You need to make a bigger road.
Yeah,
Water the whole
basically.
infield. I don't like just the one road. The
Oh, you
push
don't-
truck-
hey,
water the whole thing.
You're not saying Scott Woodhouse watches your show, do you?
Yes, he does.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's probably on his way over
He's
here.
probably
He's probably
pissed
bitching
off.
about it
Scott,
right
if you
now.
can get over here by 11:05, we'll let you on.
Bitching about it all night.
I'm big into dust control.
Everything good?
Okay.
Yeah, he said he wasn't going
Life
to
is
listen to
wonderful.
anybody, and I said, hey, Andy would really appreciate if you would water that infield where the guys go through it. And he's like, meh, meh, meh. And then I see you two roll up on the golf cart, and I'm all, oh, Andy's giving it to him right now.
And he did.
He called up on the radio. He goes, how's the track look, Lisa? Is that good where it's watered? I said, that looks great. What a great idea you had.
Hi, Steve-O. Steve-O took one of the best pictures of my dad at Calistoga. About 30 feet up in the air, the hood's flying off the car. He took it on a slide. This is 1982, I think.
A slide.
Yeah, like the slide machines.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how old it was. Yeah. So he converted it to a picture, gave it to me. Yeah. Good picture, Steve-O. I think Jim Richardson's under my dad. I mean, I'm talking my dad's like 30 feet in the air.
Oh God.
Okay. What did we decide? The call was right. The announcer didn't need to know. And
I
you
don't think so. Yeah, I think it would have been still.
And
yeah,
bring the
it would've been
cone back.
and you hit your line through the infield in qualifying.
Yeah, I did my one.
What happened
out.
at the end of the race? I missed the beginning of the show. What happened to your car at the end?
I
You
just
pulled
pulled
off. Okay, I didn't know if something happened.
You saw a
Was it-
lapper coming, or you saw the leaders coming.
Well, I assume they were, and
Okay.
it's rubber down.
Sure.
I ain't passing anybody.
Yeah.
I'm 19th
Well, sure.
place.
We knew, and he had to go 24th to second to outdo last night's point total.
Right.
So
There was no
How
point
hard do you
for me
try
to
to do
be
that?
out there, really.
Okay, so
the
question.
only thing we're gonna
And I didn't
do
want to
is
be getting
crash,
the leader's way.
So
which you almost did. You almost did.
yeah,
No,
you
I
almost
didn't.
did.
No, actually,
You
he was
took
just
out
saying- he was
Sanders.
just staying in line.
No.
Yes, you did.
No, I'm gonna get to that. That's what I was gonna just ask about. Okay, so there is no 360 rule here. So Tanner spins.
Man, that's a rat thing. He loves that.
You
So
run
that
out.
was the yellow?
Yes.
Was us, but then we kept
Yes.
going?
So someone called yellow in turn 1 and 2 because Tanner looked stopped.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
ran
after
over the
you
top
hit-
of him.
After you hit him, Sanders hit him.
Yes, Sanders hit
That's
him.
what took him out of
That's
the
what
lead.
happened to Sanders.
Oh, no way.
See, you did cause it. You see now it was not Josh.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
ran over Tanner,
Yeah.
and Tanner looked like he was stopped. They called yellow. Sanders ran into him.
Oh.
Trying
And
to
then-
make it through. Sean.
Yes, and
he
then
did.
Troy's announcing the nose wings down on Sanders, and then
Okay.
he's rolling slow
Yeah.
in 3 and 4, and then just spins out.
Right.
He
And
was-
we're like,
So my perspective is weird because I'm running over Carrick. Yellow comes out. I come around the whole track back to 1 and 2, and I'm like, I don't see anybody. Then I come back to 3 and 4, which I already passed,
Yeah.
and I'm all, what is Sanders doing down there?
So it took you 3 hours after the race to know that you took the leader out?
yes. I had no idea.
You didn't really, but you were part of it.
Yeah.
Sanders did one of those when he left turn 2. He went into turn 3 shaking the car out.
Yeah, yeah.
And he went and gassed it up, and the thing just spun out.
Spun her
so he
out.
knew he was gone. But he was testing it to see if he could stay in the race as the leader.
Yeah.
Because at that time he hadn't stopped.
Yeah.
But then he tried it and then he spun out.
yeah. So then I'm like, who was the caution for? Nobody stopped. And they said, well, Sanders is stopped now. I said, after the caution.
Yeah, he was after the caution. Yeah.
So, but I swear it looked like Tanner was stopped.
Yep.
I assumed I was going to come back around and he was going to be stopped.
Yeah. So your 12th
He
in
got
points.
pushed off by Sanders.
So your 12th in points now going in tomorrow.
Pretty good, Shark. That's good.
That's not the worst position
No,
to be in.
that's
We're
really
in like
good.
The last handful of years, I feel like we've been 25th,
No, or we've been 20th.
24th.
Yeah,
you're
20th
good.
to 25th. Yeah, and just like on the bubble and like got to make something happen in the heat race.
So now,
Yeah. So it works. Hey, we're done. It's cool.
Okay, we're done. He's starting 12th. So basically, what's going to happen is he's going to run a heat race tomorrow. Points typically don't change. He's going to start in a certain spot in the main event, and he's going to win. The end.
I'm always the
Turn it
The
off.
end.
I missed it.
That's your
Done.
driver
Done,
coach
done,
for the night,
done.
Andy Forsberg.
Are you
Alright, thank
are
you.
you
Hey,
gonna
hey, hey.
help the booth tomorrow?
Yeah, can you help me a little bit? My
More
goodness,
than
Lord,
more
Gary.
than you did
This
tonight.
picture you did,
Yes,
I thought
ma'am.
you were fired already.
like you brought it up, but you said this isn't by any means a retirement on my part. But
Oh,
why did you even need to bring that up? Is this a retirement?
No,
for
it
you?
was
Is
just I
this
didn't want
a
it to be
mic
like
drop?
that. We're just all getting so old, and
See, I
I
told
think
you.
about it for
You
the
did
last
say
couple of
that.
years, and I want to recognize my guys that I grew up with, and we've all grown up together. Shit, when we all met each other, and we didn't have kids, and not
Yeah.
necessarily weren't married, and
Yeah.
now we've got all
Good
those
old
things.
days.
And
Those at him?
we have all those things. I've got a daughter in college. You'll be there sooner
Yeah.
than later with your
Right.
children. So, you're a grandpa.
No.
Yes, you
Yay!
are. You are definitely a grandpa.
Grandpa
Admit it. There's
Forsberg.
grandma right there.
Grandpa
And,
excitement.
when we all started
Hey,
this,
get
we
out
were
of my
all
camp.
young and dumb and the other, how did they say? But I was 24 when I started. What about you, AF?